and let us all do we can to build a better future.
What is going on, Kira?
Okay, so I hope I do a good job of telling this story, because this was one of those stories where I initially posted it up in our Slack because I saw one avenue to go with it. But then the more I got into the story, I was like, wait a minute, this is really weirdly told. And so I want to just tell the story from how I understand it and see what you guys think about the conundrum I'm running into with this story.
The quandary.
I'm prepped. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm going to micromanage it. Don't worry.
You should. You definitely should. Okay, so basically the way I see it is gang warfare in the streets of Portland broke out on Monday between Proud Boys members and Antifa members. So I found this story actually in The Intercept and came away from it with, I kind of feel like some surprising conclusions compared to what I thought I was going to come away with it with. So here's how I see things unraveled. So Proud Boys had a rally planned that was being held earlier in the afternoon devoted to the political prisoners of January 6th, right?
Okay.
Of the Capitol attacks. So, and that was about 10 miles from downtown. Now, a lot of the protests, the BLM protests and civil disobedience that had been taking place in Portland was actually, and we talked about it on the show, in a very small section of the downtown Portland
like 8 square
area.
blocks.
Yeah, I want to make sure that everybody's also aware of that. But their rally was about 10 miles from downtown. Supposedly, before that rally happened, police put out a message about this rally in the form of a tweet. And then Faze, I sent that tweet to you a little bit earlier, if you wouldn't mind grabbing that. And so basically what the tweet is saying from the Portland police is like, hey, we're not going to be coming out to try to keep people apart. So, don't come down here to provoke stuff unless, basically you want there to be violence, because we're not going to be doing anything
Well, that
about
takes
it.
care of that problem.
So, and so a lot of people are seeing that as kind of an open invitation for violence from the police. And then, so basically what then happens is anti-protesters come along and violence starts to break out. They're shooting in the streets. Somebody from the Proud Boys ends up getting arrested for that shooting. And The Intercept, the way they tell the story is basically like these a-hole police didn't come and, do their jobs by basically standing everybody down and making sure violence didn't erupt between these two groups. And I just wanted to hear what your guys' take was on that, because I feel like there's a lot of interesting moving parts that aren't super. I don't think that there's a clear cut sort of good guy, bad guy in this conversation. But I'm curious to see what you guys see in this.
Okay, so look, here's the thing. When, in theory, what we've heard from corporate media, from those in power, the police are there, in theory, to preserve order and the peace. They did none of that and allowed two different factions that clearly don't like each other have at it in the streets. Now,
and they announced beforehand that they weren't going to be.
They weren't going to do so. So already, on the fact that you have a legitimate ruling authority, a government authority, a state authority, however which way you want to paint it, they basically said on social media for everyone to see, even those two groups, we will not be there. Even though that's their job to keep the peace, no matter what. In theory, that's what they're supposed to do. But they failed. This is another example of, again, why we need to do police reform. And the thing is, I know a lot of people want to say, well, let's blame both of the groups, or one group caused it over the other. It doesn't matter. The point is, the reason why both groups caused this action, the reason why both groups were at each other's throats, was because you had the quote-unquote peace force, the police force, not be there at all.
You didn't think they'd have counter-protesters there even if the police were a presence?
So, I got a question just to clarify.
Yeah.
Are you saying there was only one arrest made for this entire event?
From what I understand, it's the only one I read about.
I'm going to have a weird take, and I want you guys to tell me if I'm having a weird take. Doesn't this sound safer than most of the protests
that's
where the
what
police
I was
were
like
at?
thinking. Also, was
Really?
just like
Yeah.
it was kind of it was a weird read, you guys. Like if you
Yeah.
didn't read the entire article, I invite you to watch. I watched all of the videos, every angle of every like smashing the van that happened, and. So what happened were supposedly the Proud Boys. I don't know. They didn't have Proud Boy flags like waving around.
They don't have uniforms like
Some
cops
folks
do. Yeah.
were smashing a van, and they did assault somebody. They
Mm-hmm.
assaulted a couple of people, and those people walked away, and then like nothing happened.
See, that's
And then one guy get arrested
Yeah.
because he was shooting in the
Okay,
street.
so here's this thing to think about. You ever see any of those like videos with like dogs that are barking at each other behind a gate, and then you open the gate and they're like, "Okay, we're cool, bye guys." And so it's like I'm hearing this, and I'm thinking, okay, when police are there and there's a line of police, there's a lot more verbal attackage on
Yeah.
each other because you're kind of the police are at that gate. It just feels weird to think that like it actually seems safer without the cops. Like, okay, so like when police are there, what happens? We have
I knew this
hundreds
would be an
of
interesting
rubber
conversation.
bullets get shot at people kind of everywhere. The police usually pick a side to shoot at, regardless of the situation. And what do we always hear, like in Portland or anywhere else? Oh no, 36 people got severely injured, 2 people critically, 100 people were arrested, and there's riots continuing on into the night. And it's like here, it's like, yeah, someone shot a gun. Doesn't seem like he shot anyone. He got arrested, and like 3 people got assaulted, and it kind of was like that's it. And a van got like damaged. That's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it was a weird story.
I have a little bit
guys.
different perspective on this. Look, I understand that when the police have been at these events before, violence intensifies even further. But the fact that they were not there, and the situation.
And both groups kind of want the violence, like
I know, but I'm saying,
but when they're actually with each other,
it could have gotten worse, and who knows?
I mean, it certainly could have gotten worse.
I mean, I can just see this being a recipe for
could have
disaster.
gotten as bad as when the police are normally there. I'm just making the point. The police make a message ahead of time.
I can't believe the point I'm making right now, but reading this story was just it was a strange read. The videos were strange. FaZe can attest when he was like, he goes, "So should I play any of the videos from your story?" And I was like, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it, FaZe, because I was like, they're kind of boring. So just go and watch the videos yourself, I guess.
Turns out you need the police to have pep in your step.
You know, I mean,
I'm ashamed of myself, and that was my experience of this story. And that's it. Yeah.
You know,
I don't condone violence.
I have to say, okay, so it didn't get bad this time around, but I could see somebody or some group of people really taking it out of hand and really making it worse to where the response would be maybe harsher clampdowns, maybe harsher police presence. I mean, I just see that as a recipe for disaster, and thankfully nothing that bad happened.
I just feel like the moment the police start getting dressed up in that SWAT gear, they're like their balls just grow like by 10 times. They're dragging them around, like it's just it was interesting. Watch the videos and let us know if you agree or disagree, because it's
ironically
fairly calm.
Here's how I would give a rational explanation for all this as well. That when there are no police, the consequences of escalating are real.
Yeah.
And they're not really real when the police are there. The police are the ones that are escalating. You're just going, don't shoot me. Mm-hmm. But it's... Okay, the point that we've been making with the police all along is that they should not have all the jobs they do. But what does it say when this job that they're supposed to be able to do, specifically, they seem to do worse at than when they're not there? It's like... I don't get it.
And
I agree.
They're like, give them more money. Give them more money.
Give them more money. They keep screwing it up. Keep letting them screw it up.
You know, I don't know. I see both your points. Mm-hmm. It's just for some reason, if this was replicated in another part of the country, I could see something getting worse, and then the response to it by federal or state authorities becoming far more
I want to
draconian.
test this out now. I'm willing to take some to put some lives on the line. I mean, they're already on the line when the police are there.
Yeah.
So Why put our chance that it's like worst case scenario, things will be as bad as if the cops were there.
Well, and then the headline for this story was Portland's bizarre experiment with not policing. Proud Boys Rampage ends in gunfire. Then it would actually be an experiment. So, let's give it a go.
So I'm going to say to the police, keep doing this, try it out, but then I want the money.
Keep staying away from conflict.
But I want the money that you're not spending on the protest to come back to us.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, that's fair enough. I think we'll have our audience decide. Tell us what you think of this whole situation. What's that?